If your priorities in a phone are great battery life, fast charging, an excellent screen, and very good gaming performance, then this phone is definitely worth a look. It is the IQOO Neo 10, powered by the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. It's got 12 gigabytes of RAM up to 16. It has a 50 megapixel camera on the rear and an 8 megapixel ultra wide, 32 megapixel selfie, a flat AMOLED screen that can peak at 4400 nits, so super bright, and 120 watt charging. And I'll show you what it's all about in this review. So this is what we get included: a 120 watt flash charge charger, SIM tray tool, and a TPU case and some paperwork. We have a plastic frame here. Now, it may fool a few people into thinking it is metal because it's a very dense plastic and they've coated it with this material that makes it feel like it is metal. Volume up and down buttons and the power on button are, I believe, made out of metal. They do feel like that. They are. And Google location of the button, fingerprint reader, little bit on the low side. I think about here is ideal, and normally with Vivo, they put it in a better location than that. So we have a 6.7 8-inch screen here. Now, this screen here is 144 Hertz, so it's going to be good for gamers that want that high refresh rate. And it does have 1260 by 2800. Those are our amount of pixels in there. Of course, it's the 20 by 9 aspect ratio. Pixel density is 453 OLED, and it looks great, and it is HDR. Now, it is up to a whopping 4400 nits peak brightness, but the high brightness mode is 2000 nits, and look at it here in direct sunlight. Super clear, really good. I was not expecting it at this mid-range class of phone, and the price point excellent. And speaking of which, it's around about the $400 mark, and in euros probably a little bit more than that, about 450, which is not bad. So bezels, yes, we have a few of those. Front cutout here cameras, 32 megapixels, and then we have an 8 megapixel ultra wide. I might have accidentally said 12 in the video, but no, it is 8. Bit disappointing there. It can't do 4K, only 1080p. 50 megapixel at least does have optical image stabilization with it, and it's got that multi-directional face detection autofocus, which you come to expect. So the focus is actually good with this, and Vivo's tuning there. So plastic back, large battery in this, 7,000 milliamp hours, silicon carbon battery, and the wired charging, that's 120. So very quick. Charge time, around about 30 minutes. I'll give you the exact time. SIM tray tool takes 2 nano SIMs, no SD card support. Oh, and no video out from the Type-C port here. We've got a loudspeaker there, one in the top with the earpiece, and overall a good build. So the weight of it, 206 grams. The thickness is 8.1, not measuring the camera bulge. So it's not bad, I think, considering how large that battery is. They've got a very good weight to it because they use the plastics, but it does not feel cheap as a result. So this screen, it's flat, it's bright, it's 144 Hertz, responds to touch really good, and pulse width modulation flicker. I only speak about that now if I do see any of that flicker, the banding, I don't. Now, if you see some little bits of banding here, it's due with the fact that it has a pre-applied screen protector, and we're getting some analyzing here that's coming through because of my camera, and you don't see that in person. So we have eye protection mode, dark protection mode there, pretty standard. Resolution, you can change that, but I've kept it on the highest spec, although I've turned it off for some reason here. I know it is on the highest one. They call it UHD. Obviously, that is not 4K. And screen refresh rate, force that also to high. You might as well. I mean, that's what you're paying for with it. So you want to take advantage of that. And the colors, yes, you can go in. You can tweak all the screen colors. I've just kept it on the standard here. You can adjust the temperature balance. So all that good stuff that you would expect with a decent display is there. Android 15, and we do have Fun Touch OS with this. So this, of course, being the global version. I do prefer Origin OS, but I'm getting used to Fun Touch. And my main phone that I use is, in fact, a Vivo X200 Pro. I always use this one, and it's got Fun Touch because it's the global version. Really, it's not too bad once you get used to it. Now, the version here that Vivo sent out to me, the Neo 10, is the 12 gigabytes of RAM version, and they all have the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. You can get RAM up to 16 gigabytes if you go for the 512 gigabyte version of storage, but I don't have that. Bloatware pre-installed, there is a little bit. It's not that bad. There's just a few recommended apps and things. It's not as bad as Oppo, certainly not as bad as Xiaomi, and I always hope they tone down on it, but this is really the bulk of the bloat that you will get that's in there that you'll probably be uninstalling there. It doesn't take long, but I like to mention it. A lot of people have been against me lately mentioning this to say, well, if it lowers the price of the phone, you shouldn't criticize it. I still don't think it should happen, but hey. Now, there has been no updates yet. I do expect probably some will come through later on, but I've noticed no bugs, no issues or problems. Widevine level 1 cert, of course, so Netflix, Amazon Prime Video in full HD. Battery life, wow. Absolutely fantastic. We've got a chipset that's not so power hungry as a full spec, say Snapdragon 8 Elite or last gen, but it sips away, but still has decent power. But because we've got a 7,000 milliamp hour battery, phenomenal battery life. This is a 2-day phone for most people. Screen on time here running this test at 144 Hertz too, and the top resolution, 14 hours, just over 14 hours. That is so good. That is a phenomenal result there. So if you want amazing battery life, this phone does have it. And yet, with the large battery capacity, it still charges incredibly quick here, from 18% to 100 in just 32 minutes. Finally, Antutu scores good, just over the 2 million point mark. So that proves to us that it's still going to be good for gaming and offers some decent performance. And I did put it in the gaming boost mode, the top power mode through the battery settings, just to give it a bit of a tweak there. But otherwise, you'd normally see around this kind of score. So great power here from that Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. So the haptics on the phone, when I do type some messages, that's good. I don't find the haptics to be amazing when you do have that all enabled. It's just a little tiny pulse there. Haptics could be a bit better. Voice call quality is good, and speakers, super loud. I'm talking here a 9 out of 10 when it comes to loudness. Quality-wise, probably about an 8 out of 10 actually, better than I expected for a mid-range phone. They've done a very good job here, IQOO, of giving us loudspeakers that would even suit younger generations, gamers out there, and people that like blasting tunes, which is what I'm going to do right now, 100%. There's no copyright song, and I use this for obvious reasons, so I don't give myself a strike. But here's the sample, which you hear is loud and not actually bad at all. Now, as for gaming, it is going to play everything in the Play Store, and that includes Genshin Impact. I'm currently just testing out here Diablo Immortal, no issues whatsoever. Now, I have noticed that when I ran benchmarks and gaming, that it will get a little warm, but this chipset is not as hot as the Snapdragon 8 Elite and the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. No, not as hot, and it gets up to around 42 degrees of measured, so that's not bad at all. In fact, it just gets a little bit warm, so it's a perfect phone. Designed even for gaming, I think, or gamers would be very interested in this, especially with that larger battery. It's going to give you more run time than even flagships with their, say, 6,000 milliamp hour battery. So testing out the cameras now with the IQOO Neo 10. So front-facing camera, 32 megapixels, and it's got some good and some bad. So the good news, 4K resolution. The bad news is it looks a little bit shaky, right? I don't think electronic image stabilization is being applied here. And if it is, it's very weak because there's a lot of shake in the image. As I just walk about, you can see it moving. I do hope with a firmware update that IQOO Vivo can add some electronic image stabilization. That would really improve this front-facing vlog footage quality. Now, rear camera here, we've got 4K 30 frames per second, which I'm currently filming in, and 4K 60. Now, when you start to record with our main camera, you can't just swap over to the ultra-wide, unfortunately, when shooting 4K. And that's because the ultra-wide does not support 4K. It's a bit of a disappointing camera, 12 megapixels at ultra-wide. For video performance, definitely, because we don't get the 4K. But what do you think of the main camera here? So optical and electronic image stabilization, the focus, does seem to be very good, and I like the nice smooth transitions here. Colors I've noticed look a little bit saturated, but not too bad here coming from IQOO, well, from Vivo. So I did swap over the resolution now to 1080p, and this gives me the ultra-wide option, which the quality is not so great, is it? You can definitely see the difference between the main camera, that 50 megapixel sensor, and then this 12 megapixel sensor with ultra-wide footage. Now this is using electronic image stabilization. I do wish the ultra-wide was a bit better than what we have with this phone, but I understand it's, this is an affordable model from them. Selfies and selfie portraits tend to look very good. I like the details we're getting from that 30 megapixel camera. This is the natural filter or optimization from them. Portraits look good. I like this one here of my daughter. Stitching is okay, not the best, not like their flagship phones, but acceptable for the price of the phone. I have noticed that sometimes, like this shot, skin tones especially can be just a bit oversaturated, a little too bright here. You can see the white areas and especially the right side of my daughter's cheek in this shot. But typically that main sensor at least will take a decent shot. It's the ultra wide that isn't the good one, but this is the main sensor, both of these samples, and you can see colors look good, details are great, and overall I think a great photo from the main camera. At first glance, the ultra-wide shots, they do look good until you crop in. And when you do so, you start to see that there's a lot of noise. It's looking a little bit blurred, especially on the edges. Not a good sensor at all. And I really wish they used a better sensor for the ultra-wide camera, but I guess it was the cost cutting. Low light performance for a mid-range isn't bad at all. There is a bit of noise present. It certainly is no flagship, but acceptable quality for this grade of phone. So this is, I think, another stunning phone here from IQOO. I really like their flagship, and this is now a lower spec of phone, but still excellent. Battery life is superb with this. It really just does go and go. So it's a 2-day phone for most people, and even if you're into your games, the battery life is going to be a little bit better than some of those flagships out there with a more efficient chip. 120-watt charging. Main camera can take some decent snaps with Vivo's optimization. You can set a natural color balance to it, or you can go for more vivid if you want more saturated photos. And they've got a lot of options in there. What is disappointing is the ultra-wide front-facing video quality is not good, as I showed you in this video, with no stabilization if you use the 4K. And I find that that ultra-wide video is, not very good. So the cameras aren't the strength here. But even though it's a plastic build, it is very good with this phone. The screen is super bright, can be made out in direct sunlight. And all up for the price point of around about $400 US at the time of this video, maybe about 450 euros or 499 euros. Still excellent value for money of what you're getting from this phone here, the IQOO Neo 10.